Hey, we are back on The Reckoning here on the Real Talk Radio Network, and we are rocking and rolling and ready to go, diving into our next segment, diving into a lot more information, and we will keep it rolling here. Hopefully, we've been trying, of course, you know, folks, we're moving to our new location. Super excited. That's coming up this month. We'll be moving out into Wentzville. The St. Charles County area is going to get a real good dose of real talk right in the midst of everything out there. But in the process of that, we've just got fun equipment stuff here and there. So I believe we've got Dr. Bob Onder on the phone, former state senator here in the great state of Missouri, state representative as well, running now for the 3rd Congressional District. Dr. Onder, are you there?
Hey, Ryan, I'm with you. Thanks for having me.
Hey, I am very glad to have you on, glad to be talking to you. I know we're in an incredibly important election year, and as much as we talk so much about the state level and how important that is, it is still vitally important. We send solid patriots out to Washington, D.C. to continue dismantling, especially folks who know how the states are so important. That's why I think your candidacy's got a lot of people real excited from your experience. So, why don't we just start off? How are things going on the campaign trail? Where have you been at recently, and where are people going to be able to catch up with you in the coming days?
Yeah, we have been out all over the state. Last week we were in Columbia for a debate watch party. We were down in Miller County this week for a parade. Right now we're out putting up 4x8 signs. If any of your listeners have some good locations on highways to get out the Onder message, that would be awesome. And tomorrow we'll be doing 4 different parades. We'll be doing 3 in St. Charles, 1 in Wentzville, 1 in O'Fallon, and 1 in downtown St. Charles, and then in the afternoon we'll be headed to Jeff City to do a 4th parade. So Team Onder is working really hard. It's going really well. I think we have a little bit of a lead, and we're just going to run through the tape on Election Day on August 6th.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great to hear, and I know, like I said, there's a lot of folks excited about it and looking forward to it. Now, there are several folks in the race at this point. I know that there's some that people have heard of, some that people haven't, but really at the end of the day, in my mind, this is a fantastic opportunity because we've had Congressman Blaine Luetkemeyer since 2009. That's all the way back into the 9th District before
16 years.
two redistricts ago. And
yeah.
I think that it's a pretty universally known. Blaine Luetkemeyer was very responsive to special interests and not very responsive to we the people. So I'm looking forward to a great contrast we can draw. Let me ask you this, because I was soliciting some questions from folks. Let me ask this, as a legislative body, this isn't, you have charge in the U.S. House over power of the purse and oversight, but really we are the lawmaking, the idea factory for the nation. What does America need most right now? What does Missouri need most right now from our lawmaking body in D.C.?
Yeah, if there's one thing we need, first and foremost, Ryan, is to secure the border. We have an invasion on the southern border, and I'll tell you, Ryan, I have been fighting against illegal immigration long before people were talking about it in Washington, D.C. In 2008, when I was a state rep, and your family helped me in that race.
That's right.
Back in 2006, I passed and Governor Matt Blunt signed the strongest state law in the country to fight illegal immigration. We ended catch and release. We banned sanctuary cities. We ended welfare benefits for illegals. And we cracked down on those employers who were hiring illegals with your tax dollars. Now, that was a very effective law back when I passed it, but it turns out now the problem is that, of course, Joe Biden and the Democrats have let 11 million illegal aliens into our country, and with that, record amounts of fentanyl and human trafficking. We've got to secure the border, and we do that a number of ways. One is that we reinstitute Donald Trump's immigration and policies, including remain in Mexico, ending chain migration. We need to, of course, build the wall, and then we need to deport those illegal aliens who their first act in entering our country was to break our law and break our immigration laws.
Absolutely. Now, let me ask you this, because, I mean, first of all, God willing, You get to Congress in January. Donald Trump is coming along right behind you to enter the Oval Office for a second time. So it's a whole different conversation. But right now, Joe Biden is very fond of blaming Republicans in Congress for the border issues and that his hands are tied. And that's hooey. I know that's hooey, and so do a lot of our folks. But let me ask you this. As much as it really is the role of the executive, he could step in and change so much of this.
Absolutely.
What can a Republican Congress, a Republican House do to potentially bully him or, God forbid, his successor to doing their job at the border? What measures could we see the House take, maybe that they aren't taking now?
Yeah. Well, first of all, we can stop giving the Biden administration everything they want in the way of appropriations. An example, of course, being the $64 billion that were sent for border enforcement in Ukraine without a single penny for border enforcement in the United States of America. So what you're alluding to basically, Ryan, is that we don't need a whole bunch of new laws. We don't need a complete overhaul of our immigration system. It's already illegal to enter our country illegally, a tautology there. What we need is an executive who will enforce the law instead of rolling out a red carpet for illegal aliens. But Congress the U.S. House of Representatives can use the power of the purse to push the executive. The Congress can use its investigative authority to put pressure on the executive. Jim Jordan, James Comer, and Missouri's own Eric Burlison have been very effective at that. But as you allude to, it will be a lot easier and a lot more effective if we have Donald Trump in the Oval Office enforcing our immigration laws.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, I think I just did I see something along the lines of a new endorsement for you this week from Eric Burlison? Did I see that correctly fly by on my Twitter feed?
Yes. The great Congressman Eric Burlison, formerly Senator Eric Burlison, with whom I served for 4 years in the Missouri Senate. Eric, I was honored to receive Eric's endorsement this week. Eric and I fought the good fight on a number of really important issues in the Missouri legislature. We fought together to defund Planned Parenthood, to protect your Second Amendment rights, both with constitutional carry and the Second Amendment Preservation Act. We fought against expansion of the welfare state. So I was really honored to have Eric's endorsement. That follows a sole endorsement by Missouri Right to Life just the week before. So we really feel like we have a lot of momentum. I think it's reflected in our polls and the enthusiasm of our volunteers, our grassroots, and we're feeling really good. But we need help getting our message out, and we look forward to doing that. And I think if we get our message to the voters, we are going to win overwhelmingly on August 6th. Remember, my opponent, who is a self-described moderate Republican, once upon a time called himself a pro-choice Republican, supported embryonic stem cell research, supported China buying our farmland. He really has establishment swamp money behind him, but he really does not have that support of grassroots conservatives. Josh Hawley beat him 2-1 in 2016, so I look forward to doing the same thing on August 6th.
Very good. Well, let me ask you another question here. One more, maybe we'll have time for it, because I want to make sure I give you a chance to just whatever's the primary thing you'd like folks to focus on if they're not as familiar with you. But let me ask one thing. I know that you were very heavily involved with our great pro-life laws here in the state of Missouri, specifically back in 2019. I think if I remember right, HB 126, the heartbeat bill, which, of course, we have the trigger law, one of the first states in the nation to go no elective abortions after Roe v. Wade was struck down. Let me ask your perspective from the federal level. I know that there's a big discussion now. Should there be a federal level attempt at banning abortion or restricting it? Should it stay with the states? It's a very interesting thing to balance the two principles of being pro-life, my conviction on pro-life, but the principles of federalism and having things at a more state and local level. what do you think that the options are moving forward for the U.S. Congress to look at? Is this something that a conservative majority should march forward on? Is this something that we should continue to let states hammer down and build a pro-life culture across the country? What do you think is a good route forward for the pro-life movement there?
Yeah, well, we were of course we conservatives in the Missouri Senate were instrumental in passing the heartbeat bill. I was one of the primary authors of the heartbeat bill. In my position as chair of the Health Committee, we really put the law together there, along with Senator Andrew Koenig, Representative Nick Shore, who is now Senator Shore, my successor in the Missouri Senate. Look, I will always stand for life. I think there are in some cases are and have been in the past roles for the federal government. There was a federal partial birth abortion ban. Of course, the Hyde Amendment was stood for the principle that no one should be forced to have their tax dollars used for abortion. And of course, then there are international policies in the past, appropriations to international organizations like the United Nations have been used to promote abortion. So there will be lots and lots for a pro-life congressman to do in the U.S. Congress, apart from the issue of abortion.
Absolutely. I fully agree. Between the funding and the international connections, there is a lot of, shall we say, disentanglement that needs to happen still, because Planned Parenthood is such a huge behemoth, powerhouse.
And really, Ryan, it took us, what was it, 3 years to get Planned Parenthood defunded in Missouri's budget, because there was this idea that federal law prohibits states from defunding Planned Parenthood, even though Planned Parenthood is now not only the largest abortion provider in the United States, but also the largest provider of cross-sex hormones and sex change so-called care to children. So, there's no reason states shouldn't be able to defund Planned Parenthood. I plan to make that one of the first pieces of legislation I file when we get to Congress.
Good. Absolutely. Well, in our last minute or so here, just what else, if that we haven't covered, what would you like our listeners to know if they're still weighing their options, and then where can they make sure and check out what you're doing, where you are, and what you stand for?
Yeah, well, Ryan, I am the conservative in this race. I'm the only candidate endorsed by Missouri Right to Life. And I was with Donald Trump in 2016 as a delegate, in 2020 as an alternate delegate. I was up with the president in Iowa in January. So I am a conservative Republican, a Trump conservative, and along with Donald Trump and with great congressmen like Congressman Burleson, we're going to go up there and we're going to change this country. We're going to save this country and make America great again. My website is bobondermo.com, and on Twitter and Facebook, bobondermo. So I really look forward to talking to your listeners over these next 34 days, and looking forward to a victory on Election Day.
Absolutely. Dr. Bob Onder, running for Congress, the 3rd District here in Missouri, bobondermo.com. You heard it there. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for your work in the Missouri Senate, and we wish you all the best on the campaign trail.
Thanks for having me, Ryan.
Absolutely. All right, folks, we'll be right back. You're on The Reckoning here on the Real Talk Radio Network. We'll be back in just a minute after this next break.